Yes, it's John G. Sutton. Tales from the jails. We'll talk today a little bit about prison officers' accommodation back in the 70s and 80s when I first joined. You see, when you first joined the prison service, usually, I mean, very often it would be people like myself who would join the prison service, people who would come out of the military. And I was an NCO in the military, and that's really what they were looking for at the time. They were looking for people who were used to giving direct orders, because in the military, as you're an NCO, you have to tell soldiers what to do. And you tell them what to do in a very straightforward manner. You know, you say, right, we're going to go from point A here to point B there. You're going to line up one behind each other twice, get yourself falling in, left, right, and you march them along, you know, shouting at them like that. I used to be quite good at it in the regiment I was in Germany. I don't know why they did it, but they put me in charge of the prison there, you know, seriously. I was only a young man, 21, yeah, and they put me in charge of the glass house, you know, where they used to keep offending soldiers who would expect not serious offences, you know, things like being constantly late on parade or late back from leave. You'd go before the colonel, and he'd give you like 7 days in the glass house, and they had like various duties to do when they were in there as a prisoner in the glass house. You used to have a great big pile of gravel, about 20 tons of gravel at one side of the regiment, right at the far corner of the regiment. And what they used to do was, well, what I used to do, I didn't really want to do it, but get a wheelbarrow, take the prisoners from the prison up to the gravel, load the wheelbarrow up, then march them across the regiment with the gravel in the wheelbarrow, stack it up, unload it at the other end, and turn it into a perfect pyramid. Seriously. And all the way along, they'd be doubling on the spot, you know, like that, as they were marching behind the things. Going, left, right, get them bloody knees up! You know, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. All the way around the regiment. And then when you get back in, I used to say to the prisoners, I said, listen, they've got to be bloody joking with this, acting daft like this. I said, I tell you what, you play the part of being a prisoner, and I'll play the part of being the nasty bastard non-commissioned officer. I said, and when we're finished, we'll have a cup of tea. I said, so don't take this too seriously. And don't forget, as I used to say to them, don't forget, this is a very blink of an eyelid. You'll forget about all this. And seriously, they got through it that way because they could see, you know, I wasn't trying to hurt them. The guy who had the job before me, he was a complete bastard. Great big fella, you know, great big hefty guy, and he really took great delight in torturing the prisoners, you know, seriously, he was a maniac. He'd have done well fitting in at Strangeways, but I didn't do that. He got replaced by me when they found him one morning. Somebody had gone into his room at night when he was asleep, taken the metal bed end off, you know, they had these hospital type beds, took the metal bed end off and bent it over his head. He was never quite the same after that. So that's how I came to be in the military. But I'm talking about prison accommodation now for officers. So you come out the military, you don't have a great deal of money because you didn't get paid a great deal of money, and you needed somewhere to live. Originally, I had a flat. A one-bedroom flat in a place called Leigh, Leigh, and I managed to get a job as the head of security for a chain of stores. What carry on that was! They were losing goods. People were stealing from them, and they hired me as the head of security to find out what was going on. Why were they losing all this stock? I set up a system whereby everything coming in was checked in, everything that was going out was checked out, and I kept records. So we knew what was coming in and we knew what was going out. Yeah. So it still was disappearing because we did stock checks, you know. So I thought something mysterious about this. It wasn't happening when I was there or when the other warehouse staff were there. So I went in early one Sunday morning. It just came to me, you know, something going on here. So I had the keys to the place. I went in there and locked it all up behind me. And I sat down at the back of the warehouse, great big warehouse that used to be a factory, you know, a mill. And it was now used as a warehouse for this store that sold things like wallpaper, baths, furniture and stuff like that, and paint. So I sat right quietly at the back, and I just had a little book with me. I was reading a book, you know, and I heard it got to be about 8:30 in the morning, Sunday morning. I was in there about 7 o'clock. Got to be about 8:30 in the morning, and I heard this scraping across the back of the further down. I thought, something happening here. So I just gave it another couple of minutes and I went up, walked around very quietly, walked around, and there what they'd done was the people who had the unit next door, because it was a great big factory thing, yeah, they'd broken through the wall and they put in front of this hole in the wall a great big metal unit, you know, metal shelving. So, and when they were coming through, they pushed the shelving away, and when they were going back through the door, they pulled the shelving too, so you couldn't see it unless you moved the shelving, you see. So I caught them at it, and I said, right, what you two of them there were. I said, what are you two doing here? You know, I said, oh, we work next door. I said, all right, stay where you are. So I went and called the directors of the company, two Jew boys from Manchester, nice young men, Ronald and Harold Cohen, yeah. And they came in and said, what's happening here? I said, I've caught these two robbing the stock. That's how the stock's been disappearing. They've been coming in at the weekend through the unit next door, broke into the door, broke in through the wall, shift that unit, and then taking the stuff out. And they went through, Ronnie and Harold went through, and there was in the cavity between the two things, like a cavity thing, you know, it was like a tunnel, and they went in there and it was all stock. All the stock had been robbed from the thing, you know, like gallons of paint and stuff like that, and bits of wardrobe and sinks and sink units, you know, and all taps and all that. Anyway, they went to see the owners of the unit, and they were going to prosecute them. But the owners of the unit said, look, you total it all up, we'll pay what's due, and we'll brick the wall up and it won't happen again. So that did it. So I solved that problem. One or two other things, you know, there was, this is no joke, there was a guy who ran the store at Preston, and they were losing money hand over fist at Preston. So he said, you will find out what's going on there. So I'll find out, don't worry. So I got the records, and I got the staff records, and the manager, yeah, he'd moved house 3 times in the time he'd been the manager of that unit, of the shop. It was a great big double-fronted furniture store, you know, with all the best of it all thrown in, you know, like settees and all the rest of it. And so I looked back through his previous addresses, and I went personally to his previous home address, knocked on the door, and said to the couple in there, you know, I am insurance salesman, you know, I'm here to make you an unmissable offer that you're going to really love. Said that, first of all, the first year's no cost to you, but you're going to be covered. Come in, you know. I could be nice and friendly when I want to be, you know. So they took me in, yeah. And I said, hey, this is a beautiful house, isn't it? I said, look at this furniture and all that. I said, it's not what you'd really expect, you know, down the back street in Preston, is it? They said, you won't believe it. So we've only been here 3 months. We bought it like this. I said, it's amazing. I said, and it's all properly done up, isn't it? I said, it looks like you've had professional decorators in here. They said, the guy that runs it, that's what he does. He's in charge of a big store, and that is kitted it out. Thank you very much. You know, I said, anyway, I'll come back to you with this policy, you know. Went off. I didn't call the directors this time. I just went straight to the police station in Preston and made a formal complaint that the manager had been robbing the store. What he'd been doing was he'd been going from one house to another house, doing them up with the stock from the store. Seriously, he got locked up. So I was going through the stores like this, you know. And anyway, after I'd cleaned it all up, you know, there was no more thieving going on. I thought, well, it's not really any job for me anymore. There's no job. I've done it, you know. So I set up a detective agency. I didn't succeed very well with that. Monitor investigations, and then I joined the prison service. I joined the prison service because it was supposed to be a career, you know. They give you accommodation. The accommodation wasn't forthcoming when I got to the Scrubs, but eventually I did get some accommodation there through various means, like threatening to demonstrate that in front of the prison and all that stuff, which I've recounted in various other little videos that are on here. And when I finally moved in, there was trouble with these louts, and one of the louts, believe it or not, the guy next door to me was a cook and baker, and he was away on a course, and I kept seeing this lout coming up. You know, he was about 18, 19, and what he was doing was going into the house next door to mine and banging the next door neighbour's wife, you know. I eventually turfed him out, and we ended up in a number of physical altercations. I've mentioned before about the poor guy who was a great big black guy. He was a nice guy as well. Eldon, I believe his first name was. Really nice guy. And somebody was shoving human excrement through his door. I know who it was. It was that bloody idiot lad. Anyway, various incidents with the housing. When I lived in Manchester at Cheetham Hill, I think it was called Holborn Drive, Holborn, just off Queen's Road. You can see it, it's there, you know, go and have a look. They've done them all up now, it looks really nice, you know, it looks respectable. But when I was there 40 years ago now, more than that, there was a guy opposite me, and my wife said, "What's all this banging and clattering?" And we looked through the window, and there were 3 police vans there. And what had happened was this maniac had actually done his wife. He'd bashed his wife up, and they dragged him out, and he had the handcuffs on, and he was fighting with the police. Snapped the handcuffs. He was a great big giant of a jailer. Snapped the handcuffs, and started battling the police. I never saw him again after that. I believe he got taken to Risley. Anyway, here we are. This is one of my mates here. I just thought I'd show you this, yeah. This is Nosferatu. How are you doing, mate?
Get lost, you fat gat.
That's not very nice, is it? Oh, it's not. Anyway, get lost, you. So, I'm not going to do a song today, but next time I'm going to do a poem. How about that? I write poetry. So, you know, Tales from the Jails.